Here, we love you. Feel the love. Come on.
She was just 6 years old when she crossed a border that would change her life forever. A little Cuban girl clutching her mother's hand, leaving behind the warmth of Havana for the unknown streets of Miami, with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. Years later, that same girl would command the world's biggest stages, her voice echoing through stadiums, her name lighting up charts from Los Angeles to London. But behind every beat of Havana, behind every smile in a red carpet photo, there was struggle, sacrifice, and a battle to stay true to herself in an industry built to shape and break stars. From being rejected as a solo contestant on The X Factor to becoming the heart of one of pop's biggest girl groups, and then walking away to face the world alone, Camila Cabello's story isn't just about fame. It's about courage. It's about identity. It's about fighting for a voice that could never be silenced. How did a shy immigrant girl with no connections turn her Cuban roots into a global sound? This is the untold journey of Camila Cabello. Camila Cabello was born in Cojimar, a small fishing town just east of Havana, Cuba, on March 3, 1997. Her childhood was simple, filled with music, warmth, and the rhythmic hum of Caribbean life. Her mother, Sinuhe, worked tirelessly as an architect, while her father, Alejandro, ran a small business. But when Cuba's economy faltered, so did their security. When Camila was 6, her mother made a daring decision to leave everything behind and start anew in the United States. They arrived in Miami with only a few clothes and no clear plan. Her father joined them later after months of separation. The language was foreign, the culture strange, and the dreams seemed far away. Camila often hid in the school library, reading, humming quietly to herself, finding comfort in melodies that no one else could hear. But her mother never let her forget where she came from. Every night she'd play old Latin records, Celia Cruz, Alejandro Fernandez, Shakira, telling her daughter that their stories lived in her blood. Those songs became Camila's secret armor, a reminder that she didn't need to sound like anyone else. By the time she was a teenager, the shy Cuban girl who once feared speaking English had found a language of her own: music, and that language would soon take her far beyond the borders of Miami. In 2012, a 15-year-old Camila Cabello stood nervously backstage at the X Factor USA. Her heart raced, hands trembling, as she prepared to sing in front of millions. She wasn't chosen as a solo act, but fate had other plans. The judges grouped her with 4 other girls, forming what would become Fifth Harmony. The newly formed band quickly became a phenomenon. Their voices blended into anthems of empowerment: Miss Movin' On, Butao, Worth It, songs that resonated with a generation. Yet even amid the lights and cheers, Camila stood out. There was something raw in her tone, a vulnerability wrapped in power, an emotion that couldn't be taught. But fame came with its own price. The group's rise was meteoric, and so was the pressure. Camila began writing her own songs in secret, late at night in hotel rooms between tours. She wanted more than harmony. She wanted honesty. It was during a collaboration with Shawn Mendes on I Know What You Did Last Summer that the world glimpsed her potential beyond the group. Her voice carried not just melody, but identity, the sound of a girl who refused to be just one of 5. For Camila, the X Factor wasn't the end of her audition. It was only the beginning of her story. Leaving Fifth Harmony in 2016 was a gamble that could have ended everything. Critics called her impulsive, fans were divided, and headlines painted her as a villain. But Camila Cabello was determined to stand on her own, to sing her truth, even if her voice trembled. Then came Havana, a sultry, hypnotic rhythm infused with Cuban soul, and a story that was entirely her own. The song exploded across the world, topping the Billboard Hot 100, streaming billions of times, and defining a new era of Latin-infused pop. For the first time, a Cuban-born woman was at the summit of global charts, and she did it singing about where she came from. Her debut solo album, Camila, 2018, revealed more than a pop star. It unveiled an artist, Songs like Never Be the Same and Consequences showcased vulnerability wrapped in strength. She wasn't chasing trends, she was creating them. Critics praised her authenticity. Fans adored her openness, and even those who once doubted her had to admit, Camila had arrived. Awards followed. American Music Awards, MTV VMAs, Billboard honors. Her collaborations with artists like Ed Sheeran and Mark Ronson expanded her range, while her presence at fashion galas and charity events marked her evolution from pop princess to cultural ambassador. But behind the glitter and applause, something heavier began to stir. Fame, as it often does, brought shadows, whispers of exhaustion, pressure, and doubt. At the very moment she seemed untouchable, the world would soon learn that even the brightest lights cast the deepest shadows. Success for Camila Cabello came faster than she could breathe, and so did the backlash. The pressure of fame, endless interviews, and living under the microscope began to take its toll. Every smile was analyzed, every post dissected. In 2019, old social media posts from her teenage years resurfaced, revealing language she deeply regretted. Overnight, the headlines turned harsh. Cancelled? Hypocrite? Fake. Camila publicly apologized, calling her past ignorance a painful lesson. It wasn't just about saving her career, it was about confronting who she used to be. I grew up, she said, and I'm still growing. But the spotlight doesn't forgive easily. Her highly publicized relationship with Shawn Mendes, once seen as a fairy tale, soon became a feeding frenzy for tabloids. Every hand held, every kiss, every argument turned into clickbait. When the couple split in 2021, the world mourned their breakup as if it were their own. Behind the scenes, Camila battled anxiety and burnout, confessing that fame had left her feeling like a shell of herself. She withdrew from the public eye, taking time to focus on therapy, her family, and her art. While critics speculated about her downfall, she was quietly rebuilding, not her image, but her sense of peace. Hollywood loves a scandal, but it also loves a comeback. And soon, Camila would remind everyone that the girl from Havana had more than hits in her heart. She had healing in her voice. After stepping back from the noise, Camila Cabello returned, not as a pop product, but as a person. Her 2022 album Familia was more than music. It was a declaration of identity, healing, and freedom. Infused with Latin rhythms and sung from the heart, it carried messages of home, love, and self-acceptance. Songs like Psycho Freak and Bam Bam didn't hide the pain. They embraced it, turning heartbreak into rhythm and vulnerability into strength. I wanted this album to feel like a dinner with my family, she said. Messy, loud, real, and full of love. And it did. Critics hailed Familia as her most authentic work yet, proof that she didn't need to chase perfection, only honesty. Beyond the studio, Camila began using her voice for more than melody. She became a mental health advocate, openly discussing anxiety, therapy, and the pressures of fame. She spoke out for immigrant families, women's rights, and climate awareness, using her platform to connect, not just to shine. In 2021, she also stepped into a new world, acting, with her leading role in Cinderella. Though reviews were mixed, the film marked another milestone, a woman writing her own fairy tale on her own terms. Camila's rebirth wasn't about reclaiming fame. It was about reclaiming peace. From Havana's narrow streets to the world's biggest stages, Camila Cabello's story is one of courage. The courage to dream, to fall, and to rise again. She's more than a pop star. She's a storyteller, weaving her Cuban roots, her pain, and her hope into every lyric. In a world that often asks artists to conform, Camila dared to sound like herself, and, in doing so, gave a generation permission to do the same. Her legacy isn't written only in chart numbers or awards, but in the hearts of those who saw themselves in her journey. The immigrant child, the anxious teenager, the woman learning to love herself again. Camila once said, "The best thing you can be in this world is yourself." Loudly. And that's exactly what she's done. Her voice is not just a melody. It's a reminder that even when the world tries to shape you, you can still choose to sing your own song. Because the journey of Camila Cabello proves that even the brightest stars must walk through darkness before they truly shine. If you were inspired by Camila's story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold journeys of Hollywood's brightest stars.